Welcome to this Eurogas Tech Talk. Today we have Nicolas Herbe, EU Affairs Director at Alstom, who's going to be speaking to us about the fascinating subject of using hydrogen to power trains. Eurogas Tech Talks examine European-made technologies that can help decarbonise Europe's energy systems and create jobs in Europe. My name is Philippa Nussel-Jones and I'm Editor-in-Chief of Energy Monitor. Hi Nicola, thank you for being with us today. So hydrogen and trains, what's happening?
At Alstom, we've put on the market the first hydrogen-powered passenger trains a couple of years ago. Now it started operating in 2018, actually, and now we have orders for the first 3 fleets now of such trains. So basically, what's happening is that we now have technology that is mature enough to displace the diesel engines that are still in operation in railways today. That's really the main point of that. It's finding a solution to fully move to a zero direct emission railway transport in Europe.
So why is hydrogen a better solution to decarbonise our rail networks and to electrify everything?
It's true that compared to other transport modes in railways, we have the advantage that through, let's say, electrification, so electrification via overhead catenary lines, we have a system which already very largely operate at zero emission. However, what we've realized is that electrification is not the perfect solution for every need because it's quite costly. And so in a lot of cases, classical electrification is economically difficult. Let's say the costs are pretty high. And if you do not need the extra performance in terms of power and speed, it doesn't make necessarily a lot of sense. So what we see today is that in the European railway network, you have certain mainline sections that are not electrified, but not many. A lot of what we call low density lines, so lines with not too many trains, so mostly for regional passenger traffic. And as well, what we would call last mile, so let's say shunting areas or yards for freight purpose. So these different type of locations are not electrified today. And with the classical technology that we have, it does not make a lot of sense, economically speaking, to electrify them.
And can you explain where these hydrogen trains are running at the moment?
The pilot operation that we did with our first 2 trains was in Germany, in Bremerförde, so in Lower Saxony, thanks to the local transport authority, LNVG. And the orders that we have and that we are currently manufacturing are actually for this location, so in Lower Saxony, and one nearby Frankfurt. And we also got an award very recently in northern Italy for another fleet of hydrogen trains.
How has the public in Germany reacted to having hydrogen trains on the line? Are they positive towards it, or has there been any negative reactions?
The public reaction has been extremely positive. Besides the operation in Germany, we've tested the trains, for example, in the Netherlands and in Austria recently, and the public reaction has been extremely positive. Switching to hydrogen means much less noise, less as well emission, less vibration when the train runs. So in terms of passenger comfort and passenger use, we saw the main benefit as being reduced emission, but actually the reduction of noise and vibration from the point of view of the end user is as well are very, very, very strong points. So no, public reaction so far has been always extremely positive.
That's great, thank you. And in terms of using hydrogen to decarbonise the rail networks, presumably the hydrogen then needs to be green hydrogen that comes from renewables. Is that the case at the moment with the trains that you are running or will be running?
In Germany, yes, the hydrogen will be green. So here we are. This is part of a project that we are committed to supply. It's indeed a challenging point, as in many other applications, because investment and green hydrogen is still rather expensive today, unfortunately, in Europe. So we see that in certain cases, project promoters are, or let's say, would like to start, especially for the beginning when you have a limited quantity of trains, with some already available hydrogen supply, which may not be green. But ultimately, I think the objective is indeed to move to only green hydrogen when its cost will become more competitive.
Obviously, this is quite a small market at the moment, quite a new market. If you want to scale up the use of hydrogen in trains to help decarbonise the rail networks in Europe, what are the next steps? What needs to happen now to scale up and to bring down the costs?
I think the first obstacle that project promoters face today is really the extra cost associated to going to hydrogen, especially on the infrastructure side. So what we need today is really to have some sort of public support at the national or European level for the local transport authorities that want to move away from diesel towards zero emission technologies, and particularly to help them, let's say, managing the extra cost on the infrastructure side. So this is really where we see a need for public intervention. Beyond that, of course, all the work to stimulate the production of green hydrogen and make its cost more competitive will help a lot in making such projects more economically manageable. And finally, yes, we also need to showcase the European expertise at the global level, because indeed in Europe, diesel propulsion is a bit of let's say, a marginal market. Well, marginal is perhaps a strong word, but let's say it's clearly not the majority of the market for trains. But outside of Europe, there are still a lot of countries where diesel is the main propulsion technology. So this is what, as European industries, this is what we should aim for, to take the lead globally in the years to come.
Are other places in the world developing this kind of technology? Are you working with other countries to help them also scale up or start using hydrogen in trains?
So yes, we have seen quite a number of projects being announced all across the planet, in Asia, in several countries in Asia, in North America, and even in several European countries. So we definitely see an appetite from all suppliers globally, and as well many customers, to indeed look if for their needs on their network, with what they need to carry, be it passenger and freight, if fuel cell technology is suitable. We are involved in some of these discussions, not in all of them. And indeed, we do see a willingness from non-European suppliers to catch up on I would say the leadership position that the European industry has secured so far for using hydrogen in railway.
And if you get the right support from the EU and from national governments, what's your vision for the future then? How do you see hydrogen trains scaling up, and what's your vision, say, by 2050? How do you think our rail networks will look?
The decisive factor would be how do we help the first movers to manage the extra costs that are created by moving away from diesel towards hydrogen. So that's clearly the key issue in the coming years. And in the middle term, the challenge will be more the evolution of the price of green hydrogen. Some market studies have been done, let's say, recently, supported, for example, by the joint undertakings set up by the European Union in fuel cell and in railway innovation. And I think their assumption was that the market share of hydrogen trains could be around 30% of the diesel market within 10 to 15 years. So that's the sort of target that we are aiming at. But again, a lot will depend on the regulatory framework around the technology choices that will be made by operators and transport authorities between sticking with diesel or moving to zero emission technologies.
Super, thank you. That's really, really interesting. Thank you for tuning in today to this Eurogas Tech Talk. If you want to listen to more Tech Talks, please go to Eurogas's website at eurogas.org to listen to more interesting stories about how to decarbonise the EU energy systems.